link. Okay, so this is the repository that we have to clone, and we work on this repository. If you can find it in the Dirko Radia project. Okay. Did you find the project? React Store app. Facebook. No. Okay, and I just opened the project in Visual Studio Code. Okay, let me know when you are ready. Okay. Okay, so everyone ready? Got? So the next step is we have to open a terminal because this is a React app with node modules. We have to do some, we have to run some commands. So opening the terminal, you can go to View, Terminal, or just hit this key combination. And here in the terminal, you just have to write npm install or npm e is the short version. And if you hit enter, npm will install all the modules. For you, it will take some longer because we already installed all the modules. Let's see. Okay, so the next command, very easy, npm and start. And after you hit npm start, browser window should be opened and you should see this screen. Okay, so npm install and npm start. Okay, everyone ready? Okay, let's not waste so much time. I will start to dig into the code a little bit. Okay, I can just hide the terminal with the same command, and let's just see this React app. So if you can see in the index.tsx, just this is just auto-generated code from React. Also this one, the main part is here in the app.tsx, and here in the app.tsx we have I can zoom. Okay, I have a function that returns some HTML code. So in React, I don't know if you did last week some React. Yeah. So in React, we can just write HTML code directly in the TypeScript files or JavaScript files. Right now, we're using TypeScript. I won't go into much detail in TypeScript, but I will try to explain things as we go forward. Okay, in React, we can just return HTML templates in functions, and this gets rendered in the browser, as you can see. Okay, why is this helpful? It's helpful because I can just have one file for the templates, for the code, and for the styles, and I can see all the code that a component is all the component that's related to other code that's related to a component. Okay, so let's start looking into the template. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 card elements, and we have here 5 divs for the card elements, but this is, I think it's duplicate code, so let's optimize this code in React way. Okay, so how do we do that? We can just take one of these. Let's see what differs here. The picture and the name differs. So we can just take the picture and we can take the name and add all the pictures, all the images, and all the names. Let's add it to a list. Okay, for a list we use an array. The array will be called user. Let's call it user list. Okay. And this array will contain 5 users. Okay, so for one user, we will have an avatar image, this one, and we will have a username. Okay, so avatar image will be something, and username will be something. Okay.
I mean here just
Okay.
blank was also used.
Okay, yeah, let's use just avatar. And yeah, we can just copy paste this one like 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and I will just copy this code here here, second one, third one, the fourth one, this is the one, and the last one. Okay, so I just added this data to this array. Okay, what's the next step? The next step is we have to use this list here. So how do we do that? We do that by let's go step by step. No, let's do it directly the right way. Okay, so in the template we can just write code using, if I add a bracket, I can just use the user list variable. Okay, so what we need to do with the user list array, we have to for each user element we have to do something. We have to display this box for every user. So if I have an array, I can just use a for each method, and with the for each method I have to give it a function. For each user I will do something. Okay. But here you can just type, let's zoom in so you can see it better. Okay, so for each user we must return something. So what do we return? We return, let's return the same div element here. Okay, and here instead of having this data here, we can just write user.avatar, and instead of the username we can just write user.username. Okay, so yeah, we have to use here the map method instead of for each, because for each method doesn't return the results. It just does something for each element in the user list, and the map actually returns something. Okay, let's just leave this here. So yeah, every element should look the same now. Okay, and let's just make this prettier, and what we can do now is simply delete all this code, and here we have a much nicer React component, which is much simpler, and let's see if it works. I save this. Jolt, I have to run it again. I have to start it again, or
No. But you can close the other one from the homework if it's running something.
oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so
You check the console, then you can see if it works or not. Because
okay.
we have, yeah, this error. This means that.
Yeah. So we have an error.
It's not error, it's more like warning. But
Yeah, more like a warning. So each child in a list should have a unique key prop. For this to disappear, we just have to add a key prop to an element. So here in the div, we can just add a key, which can be like anything. We can use the username for now.
so situation is with the key. Then we have a list, and React have a better way how can compare the items. Let's say you have items. Your item in the array go down. But if you have a key, the user ID, then compare that with the other list, the old one. And if it's not needed, then it doesn't remake. So it just need to be made more efficient or the wall rendering. Without that works with learning, yeah, just this way faster the code, better how detect the list. Use only for the list. It must be unique, the first element in the list. Or case div.
Yeah, so let's see if this actually works. If oops, sorry. if I if I add a new element here, then a new card should appear. So let's just add this with a username. Okay, new user, and if I hit save, and here we have a new user, so we have 6 elements now, so it works. Okay, so what we can do next is take advantage of TypeScript, because what happens if I go here and I try to add a new user, and for example I mistype something. Instead of username, I typed user name, but TypeScript doesn't give me an error that I typed username, and doesn't give me an error that I didn't use avatar. So for this constant user list, I can add a type user, and declaring this type I will use a class. Okay, so you will see next week in the object-oriented programming that classes is very useful, because I can just declare any type that I want, and for this class, I will add an avatar, and I will add a username property. Both of them are strings. Okay, this is an array. Okay, I just added a new class with an avatar and username property, and I use this class as a type for this list. This is just how I tell TypeScript that this is a user list. I mean a user array. Okay, and if I scroll down, as you can see, it says an error, username is not assignable to type user. Okay, and if I hit control quick fix, if I remove this and hit control space, I can just see quickly what properties do I need. I need an avatar and control space, and I need a username. So I don't have to type anything. TypeScript can just easily type that for me, so I don't mistype. Okay, next. So the next step, let's just do this quickly so that I don't have many lines. Okay. So, Jort, what is the next step? Next step is adding.
Extract that component. Separate component.
Yeah. So this I can separate this component, this template into a separate component. Let's do this. So what we will do is I will make a new file, and this file will be usercard.tsx. Okay, and this usercard.tsx will have similarly a function that returns a template. Okay, after that, after I'm making this template, I will go around and help everyone with questions, and I will slow down after this. Okay, so the user card will have a function. Let's just export function user card. And simply I just copy this code and I will paste here. This is the, and I missing a parenthesis. Okay, so I copied the code, but as you can see, I'm missing the user variable here. So how can we request this user variable? We can request it from the props okay, we will do it with props, right? Okay.
Right now we can do it. You can have in the props something like item.
Yeah. So we can just in the constructor we can just I mean in the function we can have I'm doing it right. Yeah.
And you must use it for one item.
We can have user card props here.
Depend if you want us to it, then use okay. If not, then you must decide one interface. Something like props, the iProps, the object, and there will be the item.
Let's do it simply.
Then you must structure it like you want.
Yeah, and the user card props, for the user card props, I will need just this one element, which is user.
Use interface instead.
Yeah, yeah, we can use interface for that.
It's types recipe.
Yeah. Okay. So we have another problem here. This user card TS6 doesn't seem to find the user class. So what we can do? We have this user class here, but we can move this code into a separate class, separate file. Yeah. I just add a new file with user.ts, and the user.ts, we just export this class. If I want to easily format a document in Visual Code, I can this is just a little trick. I can hit F1 and type format document, hit enter, and the document is formatted nicely. So if I, for example, this is the file and I hit format document, it just formats nicely. Okay. And after that, I can just remove this code. And here in the app TS6, I can just import user from module user. And the same way here, user, hit this little icon, import user from module user. It's very easy. I don't have to write any code. It just adds the import automatically. Okay, so this props element here contains a user. How do we extract that as a user? We just write let user props, and yeah, this just if the props has multiple elements, I can just write here with a list with any element that I want from props, as you will see in bigger React projects. Okay, so very easy. I created a user card component. I copy pasted the code from the app. And how can we use this user card component? This user card component now can be used as any other HTML element. I can just delete this code, and with an open tag user card, I can just use it this simply. Okay, why does it give an error? Because I have to import that the same way. I hit this little icon and use import, and as you can see, it imported the user card from the respective file. Now it gives another error. What is the error? Property user is missing in type. Okay, why does it give that? Because for this component we have to specify a user component, and very easy, user equals to user. Okay, what does this mean? So this user card needs a user, and after the equal sign we just send it the user from this map. From this mapping function, we just send this here in the user. Okay. Okay. So after this, if I hit save and I go to the browser and hit refresh, Yeah, I have the same error because each child element. Let's just see. Do I have the key? Okay.
What happened because the first element in the map should have the key. Doesn't care what return, just the first element, I mean the highest element in the map. In our case, the user card is the highest. But don't care the React what is inside the user card. But the key must be on the highest element. In our case, on the user card. So we must add a key here.
Yeah.
And we should delete from the div.
Yeah. So every time I use some arrays, some lists, it's a good idea to use key. We can just
the future
add the username,
the user ID.
Yes, and we can just delete the key from here because here in this component we don't use an array, and yeah, we can just use it here. Okay, if I hit refresh, the warning disappears. Okay, so as you can see, this component is much simpler than the component that we started with. How does that component look? Let's just go, or let's just compare it here in the source control. Okay.
Left side the old one.
Left side the old one, old component. On the right side, I have just 3 lines of code, and it's much simpler. We don't have duplicate code. We have separate component for user card. The user card is also a simple component with an image and a paragraph. Okay, so let's see if anyone has any questions, or let's just this one, and if someone wants to see the code, yeah, let's see. Questions? Great. Yes. Could be card directly the card element. We need, or we have
Which doesn't let just image that code part. Where is that parenthesis? Where is the I know. That will be replaced with the list. If you put so for each, then the return will undefined that parenthesis. So absolutely doesn't do anything there because nothing return. If you just console log this part, this user map, that will have something. To console log the same with for each, then it will have undefined. However, it will be more shorter if you remove the return, but that's cosmetic. But we need the map. Want to return some, or like the GSX, or example, component which GSX.
Yeah. Yeah, and one more little thing. For the mapping for this part, we can, if we want to use it, want to write it more shorter, we can just write it here. And in one line. Which closing tag? Oh, this one?
Remove the slash.
Oh, yeah. We can also remove this one.
Even if
Yes.
we one child, we should like.
So if we have a function with one return lines, we can just remove this parenthesis from here and just use the value here after the arrow. And it's much simpler and I think easier to read sometimes. And I should have the same results in.
Remove the data.
With
Data.
yeah. Let's just answer the questions first and see if anyone has any errors or some comments. Every time we have some JavaScript or TypeScript code inside template, inside a React template, we must open brackets. We must use open brackets. Without this open bracket, is just React just waiting for an HTML tag, an HTML element, or something like that. So if we want to add some code, TypeScript code here, we have to use open brackets. And userlist.map is a TypeScript code. Also here, if I don't use open brackets, it just doesn't know where the user is found. So we have to use open brackets if I want to use a variable or any code. Okay. So what's the next step? So basically, we almost never have this kind of stuff in components. We don't have arrays with users or arrays with anything and list it. We get this data from a database or an API or something else, and if we have some time today, we will also do that. But before we do that, we can just extract this user list into a user service. So what is a user service? User service will be just a simple TypeScript file, user service ts, and this user service, let's do a simple user service class, export user service, and this user service will simply have a function get list, and here in this function, using this function, we will class, export class, yeah, and this function will return a user list, user array.
So the services, yeah, that one in code, but the same.
Okay, so here we need to import the user and this yeah, and after that we can just return and copy paste the code from here, oops, and return here, format, this is a class, so yeah, get list is a function. This is the proper Yeah, good idea, good idea. Let's do it TypeScript way. Let's just use an arrow function. So get list, it doesn't take any parameters and returns a user array. And after the arrow, I can just declare the function. Okay, so now we can just delete this code. Okay, but here, as you can see, we don't have a user list. How do we get a user list? And also, user is declared, but its value never used. I can just delete this also if I want. Okay, so for the user list, I need a user service. For now, we will use let user service, a new variable that's called user service, which will be a new user service. Okay, I need to import this also, and simply as that, I have a new user service, and with this user service, I can just make a user list. Let user list equal user service dot get list, and I will I have the user list here from the user service. If I hit save, I see the same thing, so it worked. Okay, so the user service just has a get list function which returns the same thing for now. Okay, and after this, if I want to change the user service to, I don't know, read something from the database or an API, I don't have to touch this component. I only have to modify the user service. Okay, so any questions so far? Questions? Should I go slower? Should I go faster? Do you have time to try out this stuff? It's okay. Okay, let's just compare for a second what we did in the app file. So left one is the old one, and right one is the new one. So we removed a lot of stuff from here, and the new component is just simple. Okay. Okay, everyone ready? Okay, before the break, let's just implement another thing. What happens if I want to add a search bar for this list? I want to search this list for one concrete user. So what we can do, I can let's just simply add an input element, input type, input type. Let's just use I can use search user username. Let's just input with a value.
Default type.
Yeah. So for the value, I will just use simple string for username search. Username search will be a string, and default value will be empty string. The username search will be used as a value for the input. Okay. And if I go to the site, I can see the input element. Yeah, you can type the element. Yeah, that's you can't type. That's what I said. Yeah, why can't you type? In the input element, it says right here, you provided the value prop to a form field without an on-change handler. This will render a read-only field.
If React specific.
Yeah.
Doesn't.
Yeah.
React, you to choose, or you make contract provide both value or either one. We have value, so we must either.
Yeah, and right now we will use this on change. So for an on change, here we have to add a function. So this function will be called user name search on change, or it can be shorter, or
On search.
on search. Yeah, why not? On search function, and I'm just adding it here.
To stay on.
Yeah.
As you see, it will have a on this change event under the second row, and that will be automatically detect its input, because it should be selected and lowercase, because the TypeScript it detects its.
Yeah, so there you can see that it expects an HTML input element as a parameter. So we can just write here.
The event started with React on change.
Yeah.
Inside the event have the HTML. So it means if you refer to event target, it will HTML input, so it will be detected. But first of all, it will be event. So
Yeah.
it should not start with event double.on.
Input element. What I did is
change.
What I did wrong. Yeah. Event.
So that the React doesn't show, but this is from the React namespace.
Yeah.
React,
I have to use React.
React
yeah.
specific, not by HTML. It's called from the React library.
Change event. Yeah, I mistyped. Yeah.
If you omit it, it's still the code works just with.
Okay, and what I have to do in this on search event handler is basically update this variable. This username search variable will be event dot target dot value, which is the value of the
Let's move.
Yeah, so the target is just this one, the HTML input element, and the value of the
Say also it's
yeah, and it's a string.
the right side.
Okay, you don't have to memorize all this stuff. It's just if you go online and, for example, search React input on change, you have all this. Like every link will contain how you have to how you have to do it. So, oh, yeah. So if you search Google, then the first page will have all that. So if you don't know it by heart, you don't have to know it. Just search online React input on change or React input value or anything like that, and you can see the types, the values, and you can see the handler changes and value on change, and you can just find it easily. You don't have to know it from from your mind like every time. Like you use it 5 times, the 6th times you will know it, but you don't have to know everything. That's why we use Google all the time. Okay, let's see what happened on the site. Okay, I will hit refresh. I will have an input element and I still can't type. It's because maybe
because it doesn't
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, but let's go with my first instinct is to use a console log here and see if this event fired at all or not. And let's, in the console log, let's just write the event target value and let's see what happens. Yeah. So if I type, as you can see, the event handler works. If I press a letter or a button, it appears in the console log. So the event handler is not the problem. The problem is this variable. So this variable doesn't.
More likely because of the controller, or also always check the value. But without rendering, the value not change it. If you render, then it will be empty string because it's forget the value. Our job now to memorize the value what you typed there. That's why we use state where we can memorize everything was changed.
Yeah. So every let's say live variable which we need to see on the screen. We need to use state for that variable. It's very easy. I just write use state and I just give it the default value, and yeah, this is yeah, I have to use like that
The array structure
with the brackets. And if I use state next to yes, I know. Next to the variable username search, I have to specify a set. I have to specify a set function, which is like very easy. I just type set and the same thing, username search. Okay, and what does this do? This lets us use username search if I need the variable, and set username search if I need to set a variable. So instead of username search equals to this one, we can use set username search and provide the value in parentheses. The new value will be just this one. So if we use useState, every time I need to set this variable, I need to use the set function for that. I hope it's not too complicated. This is how React works. This is how React uses the states. We have to specify on the left part the variable that we are displaying, and on the right part we have to specify the set function. And we can use this set function very easily with the new value, parentheses. If I hit save and refresh the page, now you can see the new value in the input. Okay, so how do we use the new value? How do we use the username search to filter out the users? Okay, very easily. Let's say yeah, let's take a break and let's do that after the break. Okay.